I'm just thinking about your beautiful poem, Good Bones, and what a strange, what a terrible deal it always feels like we're giving our kids when we want to introduce them to the beauty and the terror of the world. And actually, Maggie, do you mind reading it for people
No,
who haven't? Would that be all
of
right?
course.
For people who haven't read it, this gorgeous poem went viral, and I mean, Meryl Streep reading it out loud viral. Episodes, a Madame Secretary framed around it, kind of viral, and it is absolutely stunning, and also the heart of your heart about what you want about the tragic comedy of this life. So no, I'd love to hear
It
it.
is tragicomedy, isn't it? This is Good Bones. Life is short, though I keep this from my children. Life is short, and I've shortened mine in 1,000 delicious, ill-advised ways. 1,000 deliciously ill-advised ways I'll keep from my children. The world is at least 50% terrible, and that's a conservative estimate, though I keep this from my children. For every bird, there is a stone thrown at a bird. For every loved child, a child broken, bagged, sunk in a lake. Life is short, and the world is at least half terrible. And for every kind stranger, there is one who would break you, though I keep this from my children. I am trying to sell them the world. Any decent realtor walking you through a real shithole chirps on about good bones. This place could be beautiful, right? You could make this place beautiful.
I love the thought that we're simultaneously selling them and protecting them and loving them and fearing for them at the same time. And that's somehow the strange beating heart of motherhood.
Yeah, how do you protect with honesty? You know, how do you tell without fear? I mean, that's this balance. I don't know if I'm ever doing it right. I mean, every day I'm
Yeah.
like, should I have said less? Should I have said more? Should I be telling them more about this thing that's going on in our town, in this state, in this country, in the world? Should I be telling them more or less? Should I have said it differently? Should I have framed it in a different way? I mean,
Yeah.
it's so tricky. And when I wrote the poem, they were so young that I had the luxury of keeping things from my children. And now I no longer have that luxury. You know, Violet has a phone, and when she turns it on in the morning, she gets that little Apple News ding that tells her things that I haven't even gotten to break to her yet. Like, I don't get to
Yeah.
be the breaker of news anymore. That is a shift in parenting when they don't need you as the sort of mediator between
Yeah.
themselves and the world anymore. And so then all I can do is sort of be a soft place to land and a place
Yeah.
to sort of like listen and console and, you know, puzzle things through and commiserate and sometimes also just be mad together, you know?
Yeah. You had this beautiful image about like the birds in the trees. You said comma, Maggie, comma. The thing about birds, if we knew nothing of jays or wrens or sparrows, we'd believe the trees were singing, as if each tree had its own song. The thing about this life, if we knew nothing of what was missing, what has been removed, it would look full and beautiful. I don't think people always know what's missing from the outside.
Yeah. And I think it's also a lesson in like, you know, I know what's missing, but also I have a really full life. You know, I know that there are things about my life that are really different than they were 4 or 5 years ago. And technically, those are absences, right? Like, those aren't gains, those are absences. But my goodness, if you had told me 30 years ago that I would be parenting these two miraculous people who I love so
Yeah.
much and living in my hometown and having Sunday dinner with my parents and my sisters and my brothers-in-law and my
Yeah.
nieces and nephews every Sunday
Yeah.
and writing and getting to keep making books and teaching. And then
Yeah.
you also said, but also this bad thing will happen and it's not going to last forever. I probably would have focused on the bad thing because that would have been me 30 years ago. But all of this stuff still is here. Like the trees are still singing. The trees are still singing.
Yeah. 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 And your thing at the end, when you like look at your kids, you're like, but you make this place beautiful.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have them otherwise. So a lot of like yes, but and yes, and thinking that has to happen around this.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade them for anything, period.
Yes.
And for a while I was in so much pain that I really did think I would undo everything. I would eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. I would like to hit reset. I would like to do a hard reset and just get to do my entire life over. I really would. And that was just pain talking. And after sitting with it long enough, I was like, no, I take that back. I'll take the pain because I get this with it. I can do it.
Yeah.